Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to X-Plane 11, and this one is going to be really fun. We're in Kathmandu in Nepal, in the foothills of the Himalayas, and we're going to be flying to Tenzing-Hillary Airport, previously known as Lukla. Check this out. So here's the SkyVector kind of general route that I'm going to take. So we're going to leave from Kathmandu. We're going to fly to this intersection here, which is KIMTI. And I just have that there to get us going in a direction. I don't think I'm going to be able to cut across here. There's a valley that goes up here to Lukla. Check out this airport. So here is it on Google Maps. Here's Everest. So it's very close to Everest. Where's Kathmandu? Here. So we kind of have to fly along this valley and then cut up through this one. Look at this freaking runway. It is up against a mountain, and you can't see here, but it is, you literally fly off of a cliff. Let's do 3D mode. Like, give me a freaking break. Here's a couple of pictures. There's some really hilarious ones. That one's too tiny. Like, look at that. Are you kidding me? So the approach, I mean, there's one way in and one way out. If you are too short, you're going to crash into the cliff. If you're too long, you're going to crash into this wall. It is banked pretty aggressively, which the Beechcraft with the really crappy brakes is definitely going to need. The elevation is 9,300 feet above sea level. I'm going to get the ATIS for Kathmandu, and we're just going to keep that. Let's get into the plane. So I have the flight plan programmed in to the 430, and if we go to where is the map? If we go to the map, we can zoom. What are we doing? I want to zoom out. And you can see there's that little kink to Tenzing-Hillary. So I'm going to fly this on autopilot, and then I'm going to check how high we've climbed and see if we can clear the mountains. If not, I'll have to just find some valley to get there. But this is going to be so freaking sketchy. I'm kind of excited to see how this is going to go. The trim has been screwed up on the rear elevators. On the last video, looking at the replay, the trim tabs on the elevator were totally up right here. So now they're level, and I'm hoping that doesn't cause any problems with the plane. Okay, so let's get the ATIS for Kathmandu. It's 127.00. That's easy enough. We're already on 127. I just need the runway and the barometric. 2.0997.
14,000 scattered, 19,000 broken. Temperature 2.0. Altimeter 2997. Arriving runway 02. Departing runway 02.
02 is our runway. So we're going to have to turn left out of here and taxi down. I'm not going to go all the way down to this turnaround. I'm just going to take off. I don't need that much run up. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. ATIS. make sure that this is on GPS, and we're gonna need nav. Let's check the altitude here real quick. So we're gonna be flying, what's the altitude here? We're at 4,300 feet now, and I don't really have, I can't really see. We got 6,000. Do we have any peaks higher than that? 7,000 here, 7,000, 11, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13. Here's 13, here's 12, 13. Okay, so we're going to probably have to get up to at least 5,000 feet. And I'm going to just close this so it doesn't unnecessarily stress anything. Okay, so we need to set this. God. There's one thing that's a little bit goofy on this plane is the track wheel stuff is, if you're off a little bit, it just zooms in and it's kind of crazy. Okay, so nope, I don't want that. I want. Alright, so if you hit, vertical speed, I need vertical speed. 15, let's just do 15.5, that's 15.5, that's fine. Vertical speed, and we're gonna feet per minute, and then it doesn't do it. Down, doesn't do it. We'll figure that out once we get in the air. So everything else looks good except the trim wheel is going crazy. What the heck is... Oh, it's trying to... It is trying to fly straight up right now. And that's what I was experiencing before. See this trim tabs up? That's what was happening. And why is it doing that? If I turn that off, and still tweaking out. That is really strange. Okay, so that is definitely a glitchy thing. Nav heading, this is, I want that off. I don't know why it was doing that. Okay, so let me trim that back down to neutral. Is it moving? Yeah, in the wrong direction. Zero. Okay. Let's see how this goes. Low bus volt. I don't know if I like that little warning. Everything should be good though. Oh, we have the, maybe that's, I've got the heat on. Yep, that was stressing it out. Okay. Let's hope we don't run into icing. So weather-wise, we're on real-world weather. However, I did customize out the cloud cover and the visibility because it was IFR conditions, and I need all the help I can get. That was not going to be fun to do this flight in IFR conditions. I don't think no one should. I don't think, even in real life, you would ever want to do that. So we're not going to. The wind I did keep So the wind profile is on current, so it should match it. If it's windy in that region, we're going to experience some major buffeting. This is going to be crazy. Considering how difficult the last one was to land, this one is going to be nuts. And again, no real roll up or anything. We're just going to fly. There's 60, 75, wandering a little bit. There's 80, rotate, gear up. Let's hold the runway heading for a little bit. How's everything look? Pretty sweet. Good rate of climb. We're full maxed out mixture, throttle, looking good. All right, so we've got some serious climbing to get done here, and some sightseeing. On GPS. Okay. All right, so we're heading 104 roughly out of Kathmandu, directly over Kathmandu. So gonna intercept that line pretty quickly here. And 104 is the target. You can see I got the line here, so that is pretty handy, but I'm also probably just going to get the autopilot to help hold that heading at least. Okay, so that was a little on the abrupt side. Okay, so let's get going up. All right. Looking good so far. So I think on this we can see a little bit easier elevation-wise what we're kind of contending with. So you can come through here and come up. That's a pretty safe way to do it without having to go over any like real elevation. But this is basically the airway that I'm taking according to SkyVector, and that's airway Bravo 345, Gulf 348. That airway is what is going to intersect at KIM-TI, Kilo India, Mike Tango India, which is going to be probably somewhere around here, I'm guessing, is where that intersection is going to be. Right now we're not flying directly on, as you can see, on this airway. We're going to fly just to the north of it, basically until we hit the intersection. And then once we hit that is basically right when we touch the airway, and then we're going to turn on to heading 065. And then that will take us straight to our destination. And everything looks alright so far. What's our vertical speed is at 900, roughly 900 feet per minute. Our airspeed is 117, 116, and going down. I don't know what our transition altitude is to go back to standard barometric pressure. Not going to worry about that. I'm pretty much going to try to land it visually. Don't need to know the exact altitude. We're just going to eyeball it. But this is the foothills of the Himalayas. We're pretty close to the ground, yet we're already at 8,600 feet above sea level. So these mountains just keep climbing. This is really the ridge. We're kind of flying along the foothill here, so the elevation isn't going to change too much. But once you go north, I mean, this is 20s, 20,000 feet here, and it stays that high for a while. That whole Mongolian plateau, if that's what it's called. So, okay, we're roughly 120. I'm going to put that into sky vector and see what that does to our arrival time. It's about 77 nautical miles. So not too far. It's just the profile is pretty dramatic. We're going to be going uphill for a lot of it, but once I get to a comfortable altitude, which I'm pretty comfortable with, 15.5, should be able to put the nose down a little bit and get that speed up a little bit more. Again, I'm just on like full mixture, full throttle, who cares about fuel costs mode. I went with light fuel as well, like 2.5 hours worth of fuel at standard cruising, which we're not in standard cruising mode, but I wanted to be as light as possible for this landing because it has the potential to be really pretty crazy. We have pitot heat and prop heat. I don't know if this is accurate. I don't know if this moves. It kind of looks like it is animated. I'm going to keep an eye on that, and if I need to hit the pitot heat, if it hits here, I mean obviously 0, if it hits 0 degrees Celsius, I'm going to need to hit the pitot heat and maybe the prop de-ice, but I don't think there's a lot of humidity in the air. But oh yeah, it's dropping. That does work. That's cool. Okay, so we should probably hit that on, I think. Yeah, it's really falling now. So let's get both of those things on. Aft cabin heat, defrost, oxygen. Those look like they're all cabin heat, pull on. Does that work? That does. Aft cabin heat. That does not seem to work. Defrost. That works. Let's put these on a little bit, see if that does anything. Low bus volt. Yeah, so that's what it was doing before we left, and I don't know if I like that. Low bus voltage. So where is the bus voltage? Do I have any voltmeter stuff? That's the prop. What we got here? Nothing useful. So here, everything else seems to be in the green. Manifold pressure's nice. Engine gas temperature is really wonder if what the hell that's doing. Yeah, I don't know electronically what is going down right now. I'm just gonna kind of keep my yeah, all this stuff is pretty cold actually, and it is freezing outside. Standby alternator. Does that do anything? No. Do I need the prop? Let's leave that off because that light went away. And it's getting even colder now. Oh crap. Now the draw distance on these mountains isn't very good. I have, you know, that's probably not Everest we're seeing out in the distance. But the closer you do get to this, I have a feeling we'll be... Whoa, there's some load in. Yikes. I have a feeling that we're going to see Everest, because it is pretty close to the runway, that valley. So that will be kind of cool looking. Where is our altitude at? 13,000. We're getting close and slowed down quite a bit. That's our target, I think. Could be. So that's our target, and it's going to start slowing down hopefully once we get up to there, and our speed will be going up, which will be nice because we're kind of dragging ass right now, which is understandable because we're up in the Himalayas. It's definitely cool looking up here. Just massive peaks everywhere you look. And I think there are like a bunch of towns and villages along this valley. I think that's what kind of some of these clearings are trying to depict. It's a pretty crazy area to be living though. Vertical speed is at 620. Got the nice dial here and really small right there. And I just noticed that this has weather. So we have a 6-knot wind, headwind, and it is -6 degrees Celsius. And our ground speed is 126 knots. That's pretty cool. I really have not looked at this much, but that is really, really cool. Especially the wind. So we don't have much wind, but it is a tail or a headwind. 125 knot. Ground speed is nice. We're getting real close to our target safe altitude. Let's use this time to check our progress as well. So we are 25 miles in closing to our little intersection waypoint. So that should go by pretty quick, especially once we level out and get that airspeed up, which should be happening very soon. I'm basically just keeping myself busy with checking all this stuff so I don't think about what is coming shortly. Look at all those peaks. Jeez, that actually might be one of the big ones. This landing is really, I mean, those pictures look absolutely ridiculous. So that first one that we did in Princess Juliana. That was, I think, easy compared to this one. This is totally ridiculous. Okay, so we're coming up now. This number should be getting smaller. I don't know how it rounds it out, if it does. It may just abruptly level it out. Okay, a couple hundred feet. It even looks like it's compensating with the crosswind, because this is a little bit off the heading. Oh, alright, there we go. Vertical speed plummeting, and the speed should be rising. That's pretty cool. That worked out nice. Yeah, this is definitely compensating for that crosswind. 24 degree at 8 knots. Assuming that that is like this. And we're trying to fly into the wind a little bit. Okay, so ground speed is now up to 150. This is climbing. It keeps getting colder. -10 Celsius. That's very cold. I hope I don't run into any other issues with that. I really have not looked into icing conditions or anything like that, so I don't know what I mean, obviously I know what happens if ice gets on the control surfaces. Like, it's not good, but I don't know like what the temperatures are actually in, like, danger zone. We've got pitot heat on, but I don't have the prop ice. I don't know if I have de-icing on the wings, the leading edge. It looks like there's some discoloration here that might be a de-icing of some sort on the wingtips, but oh, this is starting to look that's starting to look like the Himalayas. Okay, so we're 16 miles out and we're still going quicker here, coming up on 130 knots, 163 knot ground speed. It's kind of slowing down a little bit. The wind is still 8 knots. Yeah, this variation in the heading versus the actual heading that we're flying, maybe that's maybe that's just a heading bug from a different flight. Oh well, it's fine. 131. So everything looks like it's going okay. I mean, everything's very cold. This is kind of just like a nice little graphic way to look at just the engine in general. Too hot is really bad. Too cold, I think, is if you have to pick one or the other. Instrument. Okay, so if you're wondering why things just changed slightly, or if you can even tell, it is because my capture program decided to stop working, and unbeknownst to me, so I did the entire flight and realized that it stopped 13 miles from the waypoint. So I redid it, and back pretty much exactly where we were, 15,000 feet. Wind is about the same. Speed is up. I did not change the speed. Let's change the speed to, what were we doing? 138. Okay. that should do for now. I'm not going to worry too much about it. So we're roughly in the same spot that we were before, just not the same flight technically. So I'm going to go over everything again, basically for myself, to be able to remind myself what we're doing, where we're at. So we're 13 miles away, 10 miles away now from the waypoint, which if we go over to, no, what are you doing? No. Hold for default. Come on. Maybe we are at default. So we're 10 miles away from the waypoint, at which point we will turn basically to heading 065, which is the direct route, which is not going to be the correct route because it takes us right into the side of some mountains. As you can see, we are in the Himalayas, so there's our obstacles everywhere. I am going to switch over to heading mode and fly to a heading that's a little bit to the right of 065, and that'll safely get us through. There's like a nice little kind of cut in the hills that will help us get there. Sorry, I'm trying to like gather my thoughts, what the hell I'm doing here. So we're going to be flying kind of right over in this direction. It's definitely the more direct, less safe route. I would normally fly, or in real life probably fly here and then come up. But it just takes a lot longer, and I'd rather just cut the corner. But it does cause problems in the final descent because it makes it pretty steep, and the runway does kind of sneak up on you. It's 27 miles from the waypoint, but it goes much quicker than that. The last little bit, the last leg here is quick. So 6 more miles. See if I have to change the speed a little bit. I feel like we're like way slow. Yeah, 91. Speedo heat on, yeah. So indicated airspeed was we were much faster. It's like 140. No, see that was 160 is what that was. Okay, and everything's up. Yeah, that's more what we were doing. Okay, so I think now we're a little bit closer, and still it feels like it's slow. Am I climbing? Oh, Jesus. Freaking gear was up, or gear was down, man. Ugh. Annoying. Alright. Well, this hasn't gone as smoothly as I had hoped. Ugh. That was... I knew something was up. I'm sure somebody saw that before I did. Stupid. Take that off. Okay, coming up on a mile now that we're actually moving at a proper speed. God. Make that left turn. Take a look out the window and see which heading I actually want to fly. There we go. So it's flying us right into this, and I want to go right into there. So we're gonna move to, no, get the heading bug over, and I'm gonna try 182. Let's fly to that heading. Looks like I'm aiming right for that peak. I want to go right there, right to the left of that. So let's go to the left a couple degrees. Let's do 080, no, 079, 078. Two clicks more, I think. Let's get 076. That should be much better. All right. So the issue with going this direction, this route, is trying to jump over these hills. This is so wrong. The more, I mean, since I've done this a couple of times, this is just the absolute wrong way to take this. There's no way that this is the safe or appropriate route to take. You just gotta go up here. This is really stupid. It's okay. I think it's okay. I'm gonna head in this direction. I think this is a little bit more to the right from what I was doing the first attempt. Yeah, so I'm gonna fly out to like here and then cut in, and that's much more of a straight shot. So the weather is, I have it set to custom, but the wind profile is the current wind profile here. So it's really not that bad from this. You can see it's just 7 knots to 260, which is a nice headwind going into the approach, so that's not a big deal at all. The actual location of this runway is what makes it so crazy. I think a lot of these runways that are on the most dangerous runway list are due to winds and weather conditions more than actual location. I mean, there's really not much you can do airport, runway wise to make an airport more dangerous. Otherwise you just wouldn't have an airport there. This, I think, is probably the most dangerous runway placement, not counting weather. If you put weather in the mix, I mean, if this would be an IFR flight if I didn't make the visibility what it is now and change the cloud cover a little bit. This would just be all flying in clouds. But the wind is not that bad. So I think the combination of temperature, visibility, and location make this one like exceptionally crazy versus, like the little island one we went on. That one was just placement, visibility, and wind are probably not going to be much of a deal on that flight, on that runway. But some of the ones that I've seen on some of these runway lists are really just high crosswinds, or there's some obstruction either coming in or coming out. So this one really is just crazy. I mean, you cannot make a mistake. There's no missed approach. You have to land. And I can imagine that being a pretty scary thing to have to contend with being in a plane, is just knowing that there's really no safety net at all. I mean, it's just line yourself up, and that's it. There's no other alternative, and that is really, really crazy. Because I think with flying into unknown airports, or I mean really any airport, you need to have a plan in place. So what's going to happen if the engine goes out? What's going to happen if you screw up the glide slope and you're too long or too short? You have like room to maneuver. You can even land on a taxiway, or you can land on an adjacent runway, or you can land on a in a field that's next to the runway. This is, if you screw it up, you're crashing into a mountain, and that's crazy. Alright, so I'm going to start the descent now, and that's only because I have done this. The first time I did it, I was too high and had to circle right here because the runway is right there. Let's get that in. That's it. It is on a crazy slope, and there's a mountain right here on the final approach, and there's a mountain right here. It's just so silly. Okay, we're gonna fly it manually, and let's get out the checklist. Where's my checklist? Okay, descent, altimeter set, cowl flaps closed, power reduce as necessary. It says 2,000, first to 2,000, so let's see if I can even get it down to that. No, the throttle position won't let me get down. Okay, that all looks alright. Approach, landing light on. We're gonna overspeed this thing a little bit. Landing light. Wait, are these off? Yeah, those were both on for some reason. Okay, going a little fast, but it's fine. But I do need to get down to 110 knots. So nose is coming up. Altitude is okay. So I'm gonna get the nose up and bleed off. Once I get to probably 120, I'll hit that first approach flaps. There's 120. Flaps. Okay, let's check the trim, because that thing usually gets screwed up, and I actually figured out why it gets screwed up. See the trim tabs there? So when you're in autopilot mode and you turn it off, it keeps everything at the trim level that you take it off autopilot. So if you're in a climb and you take off autopilot and don't reset the trim, it's gonna stay up, and then all the controls are screwed. So I didn't know that before. Mixture, no change. Approach flaps, good. 110, we're a little slow. Fasten seatbelts, seatbacks in position for landing. Writing desk stowed. Avionics confirmed, set for approach. Okay. So landing gear, we're going to have the landing gear come out once we get to probably about 3 miles out. I mean, look at this mountain right here that's just right in the middle of the approach. Give me a break. I would love to find a video on YouTube of this being done in real life, because it just looks preposterous. Like, there's no way that this could be real. Like, this is a real approach. Okay, let's get the gear down, wait for those 3 lights to come on before I hit the flaps. 3 lights on. There's the final flaps. Slow it down to about 90. So flaps full, airspeed 90, prop no change, mixture no change, yaw damp. That is off. Okay. Alright, so this is at a very steep angle up. So I actually, and it's deceiving because this is at an angle, but also this is just a cliff. This is a crazy drop off. So taking this at a too steep of a glide slope actually makes it even steeper than the angle would indicate, because the runway is on an up angle. So I actually have to get down at a kind of a dangerous glide slope, because if the engine cuts out at this point, you're just going to fall. Like, there's no room to actually glide out of anything, which is why, which is I'm assuming one of the reasons why it makes this runway so dangerous. So you're basically, your glide slope is almost up. Like, I am at it. Like, I'm I am climbing now. So there, I'm climbing now. So I'm landing uphill. Wow. That actually was not bad at all. Jeez. I had that lined up pretty good too on the center line. Holy smokes. Okay, I gotta like breathe here for a second. That was really, really crazy. Oh my god, look at this view. God. Okay, so let's check out the replay. There we go. Yeah, so I'm like almost below the runway altitude now, and then in order to lessen the angle of attack on the runway, I have to start flying up. How crazy is that? Okay, bring it down, power down, uphill a little bit. Right on the number. Hey, that's pretty good. Proud of myself for that a little bit. Nice center line landing. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so that view, you really can tell that one looks really cool, but you can see just the runway is going uphill, so your angle of attack, the glide slope, you have like two glide slopes, your actual like true glide slope, and then the glide slope to the runway, which is at a completely different angle due to the slope of that. So let's see if we can get the tower view. Yeah, so like that looks steep there. Let's see if you can tell that I'm climbing at any point. So they're kind of flattening it out. So that looks okay. So this looks normal because this appears to be. Yeah, see that even looked like it was kind of a steep glide slope, but we know that it was almost just horizontal. Let's give it one more look here. Yeah, that is super crazy. Wow, look at that that valley looks cool too. Up there. It's just sheer drop off. And we had some help from the wind on that one, because that could have been way crazier. How about that thumbnail? think so. Okay, I'm in favor of that. Cool. Alright guys, well thank you for joining me on that one. A little frustrating on my part with the having to re-record, but I'm kind of glad I did because it went a little bit smoother. It's kind of a bummer not to get the initial impression of it, but that I think was a pretty good approach to the approach. Alright guys, well again, let me know if there's any airports that you'd recommend that are a little bit extra dangerous to try to land at, and I'll do my best. Otherwise, I will keep hitting the list and bring you the next one very soon. Take care.